So the air of entrepreneurship is a little different today. Amidst us, we have a social entrepreneur. His name is Ashish, and he's the founder of Kheti-Badi. Kheti-Badi basically deals in it's a marketplace for organic products, and his vision, for Kheti-Badi is very very simple. I think he wants to provide a better life and livelihood for the farmers. So that's the simple vision statement, which with which it began his journey. And the idea of with this conversation that we're going to have, would be a two-pronged approach. One is we will try and understand, how your entrepreneurship journey has been, and we will try and dig a little deeper into the social entrepreneurship part of it. Okay, because that's a very intriguing and a very novel concept. Okay, which I think people may not be really aware of at this point of time. And the second aspect is we will try and dig deeper into your line of business and try and understand as to what exactly you're trying to do and how you're trying to impact the society as a whole. And especially when it comes to the farmer community, because ultimately that holds a very very important place in all our lives, on a daily basis. So over to you. If you have a few words to say to begin with.
Sure. Thank you, Anand. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks to be part of Entrepreneurship podcast. Looking forward. So please, feel free to ask me anything.
So let's, to start the entire series of this particular podcast, let's get a brief introduction about, who you are and where you started and things like that. So that, that'll give us a little bit of an idea in terms of your pedigree and, how you launched yourself and how and when you decided to become an entrepreneur. So that, would be something that I'm sure the audiences would be very keen to listen to.
Yeah,
So
this
over to
all,
you.
this all started in 2014 when I was doing consulting for a couple of, companies, and what I realized that time that I'm trying to tell companies what to do, and probably it's time for me to do something which I'm telling others to do. And I didn't want to start just
Okay.
anything. I thought I would start something which will impact, and that is how the journey of Kheti Badi began. Of course, I had to start with farmers. Uh, the news were coming out about the sorry stage of agriculture, the farming, less profit, suicides, and I grew up in Nasik, so a lot of my relatives are they were farmers, still farmers. So I thought I'll start with them. I actually saw a lot of my cousins who were from the farming background leaving agriculture and doing, taking up small scale jobs somewhere in cities. And that,
Okay.
it was heartening to see that way. So I wanted to get to the root cause, and I started with some of my relatives, started asking questions that why nobody, is doing farming, why they are going away from farming or agriculture. So basically, kept asking why, got to the root cause. Couple of things I came to know that first of all, the input cost has gone up than before, so the profit is less. So again, why input
Okay.
cost? So when I got deeper, then came to know that earlier farmers would they won't buy seeds, they will have preserve seeds for the next couple of seasons. Then they will do a lot of manure, pesticides in house, like at the farm. That wasn't happening. That started changing in last couple of decades. People started buying it
Okay.
outside, and mainly it
Okay.
was synthetic chemicals or fertilizers. So the soil
Okay.
degradation started happening. So as the soil quality went down, the crop quality kept going down, and they kept looking for better quality crops. Anyone selling seeds or plants, nursery plants in the market, they would basically uh, paint the rosy picture, saying you'll get a big yield, you'll get a big product, and then you can earn more money. And farmer started believing that, they started investing in those seeds or plants, but that is not working out. And that is why we went to the bottom of the problem, and we thought that if farmers go back to natural or organic farming, where First of all, they start using the native varieties and then start using inputs which is made at the farm level. They will decrease the cost of inputs significantly down, which will help them to increase the profit, because your input is down, your
Okay.
cost is down, so your profit margin goes up. And secondly, since you're using everything natural, the soil quality will improve. Eventually, it'll give you the yield. And then we talked to farmers who were doing organic. So they were like, we don't have a market. So this was 10 years back. And even today, you go to any APMC or what we call mandi, there is no section where people can go and sell organic. There is no section they buy organic, right? So there is no market, formal market. Whatever market is out there, it is created by these other, small companies who want to sell organic or chemical free foods, mainly mom and pop. So farmers told us, find the market. A lot of farmers will join, but the existing farmers need market. And that is what we thought we'll focus on, because I'm not from the agriculture background, I'm from the business background. So I thought, let's use my strength to create a market for them. And that is how we started Kheti-Badi Marketplace.
So, what was the kind of business background that you were from, Ashish, before getting into Kheti-Badi? And what was, that point where you felt that, so was it only an impact value that you wanted, to create that triggered you, to come into entrepreneurship, or was it something else? Because fundamentally, let's start, from what kind of business background you are in. So you already had an experience in entrepreneurship, if I may understand from what you're saying, is correct, right?
Partly. So I have a hotel management background, I'm a commerce graduate, and then eventually I did executive MBA from Pepperdine, California. So when I was in
Okay.
US, I was working for a small company, and they were like a startup. They wanted to take Indian food nationwide. So I had that kind of a mindset where we grew from one location to five locations, then you know gaining that franchisee model, the scaling model, right? So I had that mindset, and then I did my MBA, and then I came back to India, and based on all these things, I was doing consulting. So I had that kind of a background. So the business concept or business mindset was there. Impact startup, and particularly related to farmer or agriculture, it's through the news we hear, and some of the pressing issues um, during those time, and even today the agriculture or farming is still a pressing issue. Now there is an health angle to it, but earlier it wasn't. So it wasn't about organic, it wasn't about particularly profit business, it was all about impact. And of course, uh, I didn't want to do non-profit impact. I thought we can do for-profit impact startup, and that is how the journey began.
See, that's a very pertinent point that you actually, kind of brought up. You know, the fine balance that one needs to create, when it comes to profit and impact. Okay, fundamentally, when people talk about social entrepreneurship, I don't know, in which grade it is in today, as far as the entrepreneurship ecosystem is concerned. Okay, because when you talk in terms of social entrepreneurship, there is the mindset is a lot of a pressure mindset. Okay, I'll tell you why I'm saying it's a pressure mindset. Because the first mindset that you have when you become a social entrepreneur is you look at the impact value. Because people will judge you with because if you're taking up social entrepreneurship, you are looking at impact as the first thing. Profits comes secondary, right? So what I'm trying to understand from you is as far as the Indian ecosystem is concerned, for entrepreneurship, where do you place social entrepreneurship? In what level is social entrepreneurship today as far as India is concerned? Okay, and if you may have, probably any statistics that you may want to share, with respect to, people embracing social entrepreneurship, because honestly, it's a very novel and a new concept, is my belief. It is not something which has been there for a very long time. Maybe it's time now that people are embracing it, slowly and steadily. But maybe I think you'll be the right person to discuss on all these angles. uh, fundamentally in terms of, uh, how does this particular entrepreneurship stand, in the Indian ecosystem, startup ecosystem, number one. Number two is I would also like to understand how do you create a fine balance between, profit and impact? Because end of the day, I understand, what you do, you have an impact value in mind. Okay, but at the end of the day, you also have to look at, from a business standpoint, right? So where is the fine balance that, you would want to create, and how is it that, you try to create that fine balance? I think that's going to be a very interesting topic for us to, kind of get into first before we, start extrapolating more on your business activities and things like that.
Yeah. So, as far as the social impact startup ecosystem is concerned today, uh, there is some awareness now, but I'm talking about from the investor's perspective. But
Okay.
problem is a lot of investors, they look for the hockey stick growth. They are in love with the tech startups because they see that scale, uh, and that is what expected out of any startups in India today, unfortunately. Or maybe it's a market driven thing. So the problem was a lot of uh, feedback we got initially was, you're doing, like you said, you're doing a noble cause, it's nice, it's good for the society, but it's not investable. We don't see it scalable. And I totally agree. You cannot just start something and then just scale, because you got to do the impact, you got to add the value, and that takes time. So if someone is trying to get into impact startup, I would say have patience. It will take a lot of time. And then you're right, the profit comes later. But even if it is for the bottom of the pyramid people, no matter from what sector, they are already spending money. They're already paying someone else to do the same job. So typical questions we used to ask farmer that, hey, what if you take this product uh, to a market nearby, and if someone is helping you to sell, how much commission would you give, for example? And they would say 10%, 15%, it all depends. And then if the farmer is not going, then what is the cost you're adding in the supply chain? And if there are middle people, then so we would discuss this, and then we would easily find out that there's still good margin for us to take it out, and farmer wouldn't mind it because they were paying it to someone else anyway. Our agenda was not only to sell their product, it was also to give maximum returns or maximum revenue for the same product, right? So for example, if at the farm level, a farmer is able to sell something for 80 rupees a kg, then our intention is to find someone who would pay 100 rupees a kg, which is at the farm level, not at the delivery level, and then other costs you keep adding, and then eventually whoever is buying, that person is buying at some X cost, but farmer gets more than what he would get in open market. So that was our intention, and we could easily find that okay, there is a profit you can make, and then we try to keep it as decent as possible, which is aligned with the industry standard. So
Correct.
we are transparent. So we share the profit margin with farmer and the buyer as well. So they are also in sync uh, with the supply chain and the cost, and the price.
Okay, okay. So, one pertinent point that I noted from the conversation that you were having was from an investor mindset. Okay, now the investor mindset, as you said, it's a hockey stick kind of a approach, right? Um, so, given that scenario, and I also clearly understand from your perspective when you talked about where does the startup, I mean, where does social entrepreneurship in the current startup ecosystem stand? Okay. What do you think, will make up people to take social entrepreneurship more and more? Is the question. Now, the typical mindset is, when you start off, obviously you are bootstrapped, okay, and if you have an idea, you want that idea to be executed, and you are in the bootstrap level, and then you probably go for funding and stuff like that. That's for I'm talking about non-social entrepreneurship startups, right? But for social entrepreneurship startups, I think that's it's something, as you rightly said, is a little bit of a challenge. So what do you think, could be the motivating factor? Because end of the day, one is yes, you're motivating, when you're actually waking up every morning, you're actually motivating yourself that yes, you are trying to bring about some kind of a change in the entire ecosystem, right? And some kind of an impact that you want to create. That's of course one of the biggest motivators that anybody can have. But when you go back to sleep, in the night, I'm sure there'll be, kind of triggering thoughts into you as to, how do I change this entire ecosystem while I'm, doing a very good cause? What is it that needs to be done, as far as Indian ecosystem is concerned? How do we, kind of create more value for social entrepreneurship? Is a very simple point that I'm trying to understand from you.
Yeah,
From an investor mindset, number one, and also you know, from inspiring more and more people to take social entrepreneurship.
correct, correct. So the thing is, you got to be at the ground. You of course you can always have a tech platform, but you're actually impacting people. So when you're impacting people, you got to be with them. You have to understand what is their pain point. You have to spend some time with them, and the moment you start doing that, you automatically get attached, and you understand what is their pain point is, and then you figure out that okay, there is very simple way to solve it. That's where the technology
Correct.
comes in the picture, or your experience comes in the picture. So if you are
Right, right.
if someone is starting a social entrepreneurship, I think what they need to see is what is their strength. For example, if someone is having some kind of a problem, and if this person has that strength, or being in that industry, or even outside the industry, but you got to have some strength to solve some of their problem. Like, we are not saying we are solving all the farmers problem, but we are at least solving one of their problem, and that is enough. I think that's a huge market at itself. So
So you're saying
yeah.
yeah. So I totally get what you're trying to say, Ashish. So in a way, you're also trying to say is that the community is while the community is small, I think collaborations would be a very good way to move forward as far as social entrepreneurship is concerned. Am I right? Am I
Yeah,
kind of
you are absolutely right, because you cannot be a solution for all the problems, and
correct?
you cannot be. I mean, a lot of people would like to call, but you cannot be stop solution for all the problems. It won't grow. It is okay for one particular community or one particular village, but then you're not a startup. You're not a scalable startup. You're just a business. So you could be profitable business, or you could be non-profitable business, where you're trying to solve everything related to that community. And what I'm trying to say here is, fix, like, stick to one problem and fix it. Not Don't try to fix a lot of problems. And even if you do that effectively, I think the you'll still create an impact, and the community will still stick with you, because you're doing that better way than anybody else. And that is how you can
Fabulous,
basically
I
then
think.
use your experience, learnings, and then move forward for the next. Yeah.
Right. So, as far as Kheti-Badi is concerned, I just want to understand a little more deeper into, uh, your marketplace, which basically sells organic products. Uh, Number one is what exactly is the nature of problem that you are solving? Okay, if you have to just summarize it maybe in a few sentences, what exactly is the nature of problem that you're solving? Number one. Number two, I also want to understand how is the competition placed in this particular segment? Okay, because I'll tell you the reason why I'm kind of coming to that. The moment you say organic, I'm sure there's a bulb that lights up in all our minds because that organic word is so heavily used and abused today. That we need to have a complete clarity in terms of a what is the problem that you're going to solve? I mean, that you are solving, as far as Kheti Badi is concerned. And secondly, When it comes to organic, part of solving the problem, how are you cutting through the noise which is getting created in the market? As far as the word organic is concerned.
We figured that out right after we started because organic, natural, chemical free,
Correct.
healthy, these are the word people know that these sale, and they would just use it without having any kind of an authentication or proof or a backup to it. I think government, as we speak, government is getting little stricter about the natural word. It now they're putting limitations that who can use natural and where you can use natural. For organic also, of course, there are certification agencies, unless and until they don't certify your farm, you cannot say anything coming out of that farm is organic, And we figured this out, and we actually partnered with a certification agency to take care of this. Even if
Nice.
farmers are
Okay.
not doing
And
organic,
which agency is this that you
is
kind
green,
of partnered with?
yeah, Green Cert from Pune, and
Okay. Okay.
this is APEDA accredited. There are only around 30 certification bodies in India which are APEDA accredited. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and they follow international standards, right? So, of course,
Okay.
someone can do organic and not get certified, but then we call it organic but not certified. Then in that case,
Okay.
we would do the due diligence. As far as the marketplace is concerned, the biggest problem we are trying to solve here is listing is free. So, like I told you initially, that farmers do not have a place to market or to sell their product. So we wanted to give a place, a digital marketplace where they can list their product for free. So anyone can list their product for free. When we are pushing it or when we are marketing it to our network of buyers, then before we do that, we do the due diligence of that farmer. So, for example, you may find hundreds of products on our platform by hundreds of farmers, but when we are
So
marketing
let me just sorry, I'm sorry for the interruption here. When you're talking in terms of listings on the on your portal,
platform,
who are the ones who are doing the listings?
these are farmers who think they are doing organic, whether they are certified or not certified, they do the listing because we
Okay.
we we market the portal as a marketplace where you can buy organic products.
So let me try to understand this a little deeper. So you are saying that your interface is directly with the farmers itself. Is that what you're trying to say?
Correct. Anyone can just, with the phone number and OTP, they can log in, they can take a product photographs, farm photographs, some relevant information, and publish the product.
So it may not be very organized, correct? In the sense that now suppose I'm just trying to, kind of place myself in the farmer's shoes. Suppose I'm a farmer,
Correct.
and Kheti-Badi, Mr. Ashish comes to me and says that, hey, listen, and I tell that, listen, I'm having organic products and this and that and all this stuff, and I want, to be listed on your website. Okay. Now, the way obviously I will have my own challenges, in terms of I may not have the best of the phones or best of the cameras, in terms of taking the photographs and kind of uploading it and stuff like that. So it'll be in a very raw format, is my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes, yes, correct.
right?
So what happens
So
is, I told you,
is there a value add that you also do, once the raw formats come to you, and you also kind of uh, do some value
yeah, yeah.
addition there before it goes on the website or something of that sort?
So like I told you,
So
we
just
don't
explain
want
the
to
entire
limit.
cycle. If you can
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
explain the entire cycle, that will be a great help.
Yeah. So like I told you, we don't limit farmers to list it. Like I said, anyone can list it. And when they're listing it, we don't have a control. Like they may not even put a product information or a product photo.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
but what we do is then every once in a while we do the due diligence and we would get back to the farmer and ask specific questions and maybe correct it from our side. Maybe ask specific photographs and then upload it from our side. We can do that. But as I mentioned, that we don't charge these farmers. So we won't
Okay.
necessarily try to correct each and every one. Unless one of our buyer is interested in one particular product, then we would do all the due diligence. We will update and upgrade the information, of course, for free, because then we are looking at the transaction here, right? Someone is interested in some product. And similarly, that we work with selective farmers, because the reason we are working with those selective farmers is that all end-to-end supply chain is sorted there. So, for example, now the mango Alfonso season is going on. So we have already
Mm.
uploaded some of the farmers, onboarded some of the farmers from Konkan region, Alfonso region, and we already sorted the supply chain. So we would make sure that all the relevant information is there with latest photographs. But if someone new farmer uploads the information tomorrow, we may not do same due diligence with the farmer, because we are not selling his product, we are not pushing his product. The moment someone shows interest in that product, then we would get back to the farmer, ask more questions, get more information, get more latest photographs, and publish it on platform under his profile. So the listing is free, but we are not making it what we call marketable to that information or to that farmer unless there is a demand.
Okay, 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 okay.
We won't curate it unless there is a demand, or unless we see that we can create a demand. There are two ways, right? It's a marketplace, supply and demand. Unless, for
Hmm.
example, let's say the mangoes are short and we need more mango farmers, and we find someone, then we would go get the information, take the photographs. Even if the farmer is not capable, one of our team member will visit the farm, get the details, upload the farmer, onboard the farmer, get the supply chain sorted, and cater to the demand. So what we did is
This,
we identified, we curated, and we published. Yeah.
okay. So this entire process, would be quite a time-consuming and an elongated process, right? To get the entire thing in place.
Yeah. So see, if you are a farmer, and if you just open the platform and upload the product, it will take 5 minutes. But let's say if some of the information is missing from your side, which we would understand, and one of our team member would call you and get the information, maybe a photograph or two, and then upload it. So it's probably another 30 minutes thing. So it's back and forth. If you don't send the photograph for 2 days, then for 2 days the information is not enough on the platform, or the photographs are not enough on the platform. You know, so we try to make it marketable as much as possible, and it depends on the farmer. Or sometimes, the farmer may not have best of the cell phone, then we would tell farmer to get some help, either from the family member or from the neighbors or someone from the village, to take care of the photographs or the information. But see, information is easy because we can just call the farmer and get the information and then upload it from our side. Photographs is something critical, which if the farmer doesn't have the resource, it may delay. You know.
It may delay the entire process, right?
Yeah, like I said, if you have the smartphone and you can take the photo,
Correct.
5 minutes job. You don't have a smartphone, you're depending on someone in your neighborhood, then it is probably 1 day job. But you don't have anybody and you don't want to get someone help, then one of our team member would go and then do it. That may take couple of days. And it again depends on the product. Like if the product is not marketable, we think it is not marketable, if it doesn't have a demand within our network, then we would not take so much effort. Then we would say, you know what, take your time, upload your phone number, your details are already here. And if someone really interested without a photograph, they will still call you.
So as of now, your business model, tell me something very honestly, Ashish. As of now, your business model of Kheti-Badi is only through the portal, right? Or is there any other, business model that you operate on? Because I understand, where you're coming from. The farmer takes the photograph, it gets uploaded on the website, and then the supply and demand, things comes to the picture.
Correct.
But what I'm trying to understand is this the only business model that you're, trying to work out? And this directly is something which is accessible, to the direct consumer, right?
It is B2B. So
Okay.
what happens is, with some of the products, B2C may not be viable because, as you
Okay.
know, the supply chain cost then goes up. So what we started recently doing is we started doing semi-wholesale, like maybe a household may not buy half a kg something, but they don't mind buying 2 kg for a longer time, or they may not um, need that 2 kg for themselves, so they may share it with other people. So like a group buying
Okay.
or family, buying for the whole family. So semi wholesale SKUs we started doing for some of the products, and it is
Okay.
offline.
That's nice.
Yeah, but soon it will be online. So, but other products
Okay.
we do bulk. That's only B2B and may not be possible, at least for now, for end consumer, unless you're in the same neighborhood where our other B2B buyers are. For example, if you're in Bangalore and we have a couple of buyers in Bangalore, and if you're a consumer and you say, you know what, I stay few kilometers from this buyer of yours. So anyway, our products are going to that buyer. We can always arrange last mile delivery to you as long as you're paying for that delivery. So that we are doing offline, but we are not doing online. Like you cannot order, especially the fresh stuff. You cannot order online as a consumer. You can order other stuff like rice, wheat, cashews, but that will take some time, couple of months more. We are already doing it offline. We just have to formalize it on a website.
Okay. I got the entire cycle pretty clearly. Now, the next thing that I wanted to check out with you was what exactly is the USP of Kheti-Badi? And when it comes to competition, where do you stand, vis-a-vis competition today, especially when it comes to a social entrepreneurship, journey and in your
Yeah,
segment?
yeah. So we tell people that being a marketplace, we cater to farmers as a supply and to the buyers as a demand. And the USP for both is for the farmers, it is more revenue, hence more profit. Then there is a payment
Okay.
guarantee, and then we market farmers. Every product you will see where it is coming from, which farmer it is coming from. So we are marketing farmers. Others may not do that.
Marketing farmers, correct.
Yeah, for the buyers, it is first of all the genuine product. We would tell if it is certified organic, if it is not certified, but it is still organic. If it is naturally grown or if it is in a transition of organic. So that transparency we have. We uh, when we are handling the supply chain, then it's our guarantee to take care of everything, including the feedback. So the payment will only get released after the feedback or the transaction is closed from the both the parties. And the third thing is origin tracking, right? For the buyer, sitting at some place in a city, and depending on us to source from multiple location in India, they don't have to worry about how it is coming, when it is coming, and whether the source is genuine, because we would give all the information to them at one single point. And that is a typical USP for us from the buyer's perspective. And what we do is, the main thing is we try to empower farmer to do most of the stuff at the farm level. So there is no other cost involved in the supply chain. For example, we don't have any warehousing, we don't have any our own logistics fleet, we don't have a sorting station or anything. Everything needs to be done at the farm level, gets done at the farm level, including sorting, packing. We provide the packaging material to the farmers, which is at par with any other
Interesting.
branded packaging, right? So they don't have to worry about that part. They may not have a resource at the local level to buy those high quality packaging, but we educate them. We educate them how to sort. We educate them how to even take care of stuff post harvest. And then at the buyer level, again the same thing. What they receive is actually ready to sell. They don't have to worry about again resorting or anything like that. Also, of course, if it is spoilage or anything, that part is different. But apart from that, they don't have to worry about repackaging itself. So the cost is saved. That cost benefit passed on to the buyer, as well as the cost benefit or the supply chain benefit passed on to the farmer, because they are doing the sorting and packing.
Okay.
We can pay them more, and the buyer is paying less because there is no cost involved in between. Apart from the transport, there is no much cost involved
Right.
in between. Yeah.
Right. I think, when you were just talking about this entire thing, you also, made a point about educating the farmers. Okay.
Yeah.
This education of the farmers, how easy or difficult is the entire process? Number one, because it's a question about regional languages, right? Uh, when it comes to education to these
Yeah.
farmers and stuff like that. So what is the kind of process that Kheti Badi adopts in terms of educating the farmers, with respect to a lot of things that you are actually doing?
So typically, uh, we focus on marketing, onboarding them, marketing, take care of whatever is needed at the buyer level. Anything relates to supporting farmers in terms of cultivation practices, etc. We have partners with these agronomists. And what these people would do typically, first of all, they would get the information from us or from the farmer related to the issue, and we'll try to solve as much as possible through image exchange or information exchange, and if required on a video call. And if we think there is a bigger cluster and bigger farmer would benefit, then we would also arrange a visit. So
But these
we would,
these will be, so you will have people in different local languages taking over
yeah,
these initiatives. Is that what you're trying to say?
correct. So typically what we would see, if we are looking at some particular cluster, then the agronomist would be familiar with that cluster, with that environment, local languages, local people, local crop, local ecosystem related to agriculture, and we would take that agronomist at the on the field if required. But 70-80% problems get solved on the phone, and like I said, on a video call. Uh, but we also try to develop a cluster so the supply and the logistic gets easier.
Cluster development.
So that
Correct,
that
correct, correct.
yeah, so that way by default we try to visit that location once a year, and when we go, we go
Hmm.
with the team. Even sometimes even the certification agency member is there, you know. So all the answers are basically they get answered. Sorry, all the questions get answered at the farm level when we are there. That's
At the farm
typically
level itself.
once a year. That basically build the relationship with the existing farmer, and there are always new farmer who are interested. We also invite them to be part of this visit, so they also get interested, they also ask questions which get answered right there, right then.
Okay, great. So, what are the two most critical challenges that you probably, have faced, or you think in the foreseeable future you will be, kind of facing with respect to what you're doing?
Yeah, so one thing is, uh, even from the farmer's perspective, the one who are doing organic, they understand the whole thing nicely. We don't have to tell them.
In and out,
we
yeah.
yeah, we find difficult if someone is interested but they have the mindset of doing, you know the conventional farming. Then they expect the results faster way. They have a different expectations altogether. So that's where we struggle from the supply side. And from the buyer
Okay.
side, a lot of the buyers want to do this because it's a profit. They think when they sell organic they can make more money, because people are out there who actually don't mind pay a premium for chemical free or organic products. So these businesses which we sell it to, they don't really care whether it is genuine organic or not, or if uh, they can make small profit and still up, appeal to majority of the population, rather than having a premium price and only appeal to some segment of the society. So that's where we don't have a control, and that is one of the reason we are now trying to get into B to B to C, through a business associate. But that's been a challenge. That will remain a challenge because, like I said, not many businesses are doing this for social impact. They're doing this for profit. And when they put profit first ahead of the impact, then it's difficult for us, And then, like a lot of people, especially the buyers, would expect quality as if it is manufactured in a factory. And we keep educating them also that this is a natural product. Let's say mango, small or big, coming from the same tree, it will have the same quality, same taste. Why are you differentiating? As a consumer, we don't differentiate. I mean, yes, of course, we try to grab bigger mango, but we don't mind small mango as long as the taste is good. It is
Yeah,
the the shop owner or the retailer who does this, and mainly they do it for the negotiation purpose, so they can negotiate down to the farmer or whoever the supplier is, and they can add premium to the buyer. That is the purpose. They do a lot of this sorting and differentiation between the size, color. And one of the reason why farmer use a lot of chemicals, because there are chemicals available in the market. If you want particular color to the product, if you want particular shape to the product or size to the product, if we as a consumer do not care, and buyer or the retailer understand that, and they basically stick to the cause or the impact, then farmer won't do this. I mean, like I told you, they only spray chemicals or pesticide to take care of some of these cosmetic things. And as a consumer,
sure.
we don't. It's the middle layer who actually tell them that if it is the size, I won't pay you premium or I won't pay you good. I'll pay you more for the bigger, the small for the smaller. So
Hmm.
we try to again address that. So we make sure that most of the farm produce gets sold and nothing gets left at the farm level. So we also try
So,
to.
end of the day, with respect to whatever you're doing, your primary focus is always the farmer, right?
Yes, yes, correct,
And there's no other, so as far as I can understand, it's truly, very impact driven. And obviously there's business and there's profit in place. But I think from a mindset perspective, I think you're very clear that it is for an impact that you have started off this entire journey of Kheti Badi, and your entire focus is towards giving more proceeds and making the farmer profitable in the entire scheme of things. So tell
correct.
me something, from a government standpoint, how does government view this entire? Because they, for ages they've been talking about, giving a lot of, advantages to the farmers and things like that. So we have a lot of policies which is pro farmers and stuff. So do you think that also adds value to the concept of social entrepreneurship? From a government side, or do you feel that there is something more that the government can actually do, to create a better pool and probably a larger pool of social entrepreneurs, especially when it comes to, the farmer space?
Yeah. So see, the main thing for social entrepreneur is the profit would take long time. And even if you're making profit, maybe your cost is high, so you would always have a high burn. And for that, you would always look for and an investment or some sort of funding to keep you going. So in that initial time, or even for the time you're getting sustainable, that that is the time where you would need help from the government. And it
Right,
is only
right.
to, I mean, see, I'm not asking
Interesting.
that pay the office rent or the salaries of the employee. It is just to get you going, just to cover the basic cost, and that is enough. Most of these social startups would not even have an office place. They would, work remotely. They would employ minimum people, or they would actually rely on a lot of interns. We did that initially. So I understand that we as a social entrepreneur try to keep cost as low as possible, especially when you're not breaking even if there is a unit economics, profit is there or operational profit is there. but your other cost is high. You're always building some kind of a technology stack, some kind of a platform where you're spending money. You're doing some experiment, you're spending money. You got to probably visit often. In our case, we have to, to build the relationship, we travel, and that is a cost. Of course, after one point, you don't have to travel. You can talk to them on phone. But as we grow, we have to have someone at the ground, and that is a cost. So what I'm trying to tell you that if there is a support to these startups, social entrepreneurs, and understand their cost, and they can define the cost, right? What is the cost they can cover as a government? That is going to be great help for social entrepreneurs.
So, if I were Prime Minister Narendra Modi, for example, and you were a social entrepreneur, okay, what would your appeal be to me?
Yeah, so same thing, like cover the cost. And I'll tell you the cost, typical cost would involve developing technology or cloud or, even sometimes traveling. But again, traveling is subjective. So probably social entrepreneur sector wise and their cost, and then government can decide that, okay, this is the cost government can take care, and then they can take care. That is what I think. Yeah.
Tell me something honestly. Aren't they doing something of this sort already? And promoting this cause, or do you think it's not sufficiently being done in the way that it should ideally be done? Is that what you're trying to say?
So we were lucky to get a government grant from government of Maharashtra.
That's
Uh,
nice.
but again, like I said, it is a continuous process, right? And I know that some of the cost probably can be taken care by the government where they are not, and there are some actually accelerator and some government programs, but the price or the amount doesn't come in your bank in time. I've seen the cases, right? So I don't want to name it, but there are a lot of programs. They would say X amount of support grant or like funding, but then it won't come in time. And then what is the use if it doesn't come in time? So basically, typically you would look for this kind of a financial support when you actually need it, and then it is a matter of few months. And if it is not coming in few months, then you look for the institutional funding or the regular funding which is available in the market. So even if the government is supporting, it has to be in a timely manner.
So what I understand from what you're saying is it has to be basically a fast-tracked accelerator funding program, correct?
Exactly. Like
And
we got
without any bureaucracies involved in the
exactly. I
entire
was I was
process.
actually I was just going to say that there was one program we got shortlisted by the committee who are basically from the domain, right? So though they are the domain
Okay.
expert committee, they understood that we are doing impact and we need fund. We got approved, and then it went to the ministry for the final approval. They rejected us. So it's been a year,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So now, so how do we do this?
And
How do
do
we
they provide any reasons for rejection? No.
They thought that no, this is not that impacting farmers. So maybe there are other startups who they think they can fund, not this. Maybe you can apply next time, all these reasoning, but it's done. I mean, we wanted at that point, it's not coming. Then eventually we came to know from other startups that even if they got shortlisted, the money never came, or it's still coming. It's coming in patches. So what is the use? Because as a startup, you're trying to do everything day in day out, and there is a cost involved, there is a burn, and it someone has to address it. And like you rightly said, even if government is helping it, the process is so lengthy that startups just give up. They don't even apply now
So
when they
it's
understand.
yeah, yeah, I completely get what you're trying to say. So it's primarily a very fast-tracked, uh, I would say, the way that private institutions are working in terms of extension of funding and the investments which actually happens in sectors other than social entrepreneur sectors. I think that's the fast track mode in which the government should also operate. In terms of this particular sector.
See, and the thing is, they can always define, right? If you are at the idea stage, even if idea, right, just an idea, set up
Correct. Point.
yeah, set up one milestone, a lot few lakhs after that milestone to achieve next milestone. You just need few lakhs, and then you can increase
True.
the amount of the milestone, and that can be fast track. You don't have to look for a lot of other stuff. That is something is lacking. And the other thing is, if you go to institutional investor, if you are lucky, I think most of the deal gets closed within a month, right?
Within a
So
month itself, yeah.
because they understand the problem, they understand the domain, and they know exactly how it is going to be useful for the community. What I mean, there are people in the government who understand the problem, they are domain expert, but the money doesn't come, or it is not fast track. The next round of interview, or the next round is after few weeks. That is too long. I mean, that can be fast track. So yeah.
Okay. So, assuming that, we live in a little bit of a wishful world where you think that, okay, fine, this thing is taken care of, where, the fast track of investments and everything is happening. So, do you visualize, so what is the kind of change that you visualize in the entire uh, farming community? What is the change that, suppose, all these things take place at a very fast pace, and, everything goes as per, what you feel should be done. So do you think that would actually prevent a lot of mishaps which happens in that community?
Yes. So I'll tell you our example, right? Like I told you, we focus on marketing, and there are other
Sure.
issues. There are other issues related to inputs, quality inputs, or certified inputs in our case. Because when farmer is doing certified organic, everything goes in that farm has to be certified organic, all the inputs. So finding
Sure,
that,
sure.
you know, making sure those are genuine. So we have a government body to take care of this, but are they doing good job at the ground level? Why people are, like you said, people just say organic and sell it? Why they're doing it? Because there is no fear. There is no fear that someone will tomorrow ask us, fine us, put us in a jail, or ban us doing business. That fear has to be, that it has to come from the government. There has to be some driving factor that would basically take care of all these pressing issues in between. And again, at the farm level, for the farmers, they need a quality soil report. It is not available at the even at the tehsil level. They have to go at the district level to take care of it, and pay a hefty amount of money. There are government labs, but those parameters are very generic. They will ask your pin code, and they will give you a report. They think that this pin code, this soil, we have a record, then this it matches to his soil. It is not. It depends how much chemical he has used, or what kind of a contamination is happening. The soil will tell us. The soil proper soil report will tell us, but it's not happening. And if it's like a health check, right? If you don't know, if
Oh,
you don't do
yeah.
a health check, you won't know the problem is. You don't know whether you're high on sugar or low on sugar. So you need sugar, you don't need sugar. You
Correct.
need cholesterol, good cholesterol, or you don't need cholesterol. Same thing with the soil, whether you are high on potassium, or is it more carb, less carb? They don't know, and because of that they use wrong chemicals, or wrong inputs, and the wrong results will come out. The one of the reason I read this in one of the studies, that India's average output for all agriculture products is less than the world average output, because people use urea. Urea is the common. It's like drinking milk every day, right? We think milk is good, every day we should drink. It's like urea. Everybody buys urea and spray it in the farm. They think urea is good. But because of urea, the balance of the soil goes, off. Uh, Urea is NPK, and that you don't know how much NPK already in your soil, and you just use urea because it's generic. It doesn't give you different parameters. And even if it is there, you putting more, so your end result is bad, or it's less, and whatever you're putting is not enough. You need more, but it is not. The soil is not getting it, so your parameters, I mean, the output is less. So that's why India is behind on the average. And this is
Okay,
because
so
farmers do not know the soil quality. You know, so these
so
labs,
you
labs can do this.
sure, I get it. So where do you place India currently vis-a-vis, other parts of the globe? So how is it in the other parts of the globe? For example, the other, I'm not sure, maybe UK, Europe, or US. Do you have, would you have any kind of an idea, with respect to how are things, happening there?
Yeah. So as far as organic is concerned, I know the especially US Europe market is very advanced for the very fact that they have some kind of a compliance in place. They have some kind of a
Okay.
mechanism in place where just anyone cannot say it is organic, and there is a method, there is a proper system in place where people
Structure in
would also,
place.
yeah, while buying they would also trust. Even for the farmers, there is enough education. They understand what is organic, what is not. You know, in India, I think the education is lacking. As a startup, or there could be a lot of other companies, there is a limit they can educate farmers about chemical free or organic farming. It has to be at the government level, and that even if it is there, it's not enough. These programs are not enough, and maybe the quality of education is not enough. It has to be aligned with the international standard. We have to be in sync with the international standard. Of
Interesting.
course, India 40 50 years was years back, it was all organic. It was all, I mean, we hardly used any chemical inputs, right? So it was natural, it was organic in a way. So even that knowledge not passed on from the previous generation to next generation. So government can do something about it. I mean, don't worry about the outside world. Even in India, what I mean, if urea wasn't there or some pesticide wasn't there, what would farmer do in those days? You know what they used to do to achieve certain yield or achieve certain quality of the product. Monocropping is one of the reason. So educate people on the monocropping. So biodiversity is not known to the people today, especially the farming community. And then other stuff comes in. The input comes much later. I think first the basic knowledge. Government can do
True.
this on a, and I think as a startup, even if that education is done at the farm level and
A lot of
some
portion of
compliance.
the battle is already won.
Yeah, I mean, some compliance at the consumer level and some support, knowledge support at the farm level. Enough. We don't need money, even if this is done, because ultimately it will increase the transactions, the demand, the supply, and it will help us as a
Sure.
startup. We spend a lot of time and money doing the education part,
I get it. I get it. I get it. Interesting. Very interesting, actually. So, I want to dig a little deeper into your entrepreneurship mindset. Okay, we talked at length about the farmers, the challenges faced by the farmers, the challenges faced at your level from a company perspective. What are the interventions that government needs to have to get these things on track. I think we've kind of had a broad outlook about the entire thing. Uh, I would actually be quite intrigued and quite excited to know about your mindset as an entrepreneur, and especially as a social entrepreneur. Okay, um, so how do you motivate? So when you get up in the morning, for example, uh, one is of course an impact value always is there, to motivate you. So are there any other things that really motivates you as an entrepreneur and kind of drives you to do this thing daily and on a consistent basis? So you've been doing this, as what you've told for the last 10 years approximately, right?
Yeah.
So, for you to have this similar kind of an excitement on a day-to-day basis, how do you, what are the tools of motivation that you use for yourself? How do you motivate yourself, Ashish?
The first thing first is the self satisfaction. I'm doing this because I love it. I want to do it. uh, like I said, it was impact first, then everything else. So I love it. and that's more than enough for me to get up and
Lovely.
start doing. And the
To
other
get
thing
up and
is,
start doing something that you love.
yeah, and then the thing is, it feels good, like, for example, when you go meet farmers, uh, how they appreciate what we are doing. Secondly, even if in the friend circle or in the relatives, when I talk about this, they appreciate what I'm doing because they think, oh, someone had to do it for us. So at least
मतलब
you're doing.
लोगों की दुआ है.
So see, it's like, we see something wrong happening, and we say someone should take care of it. We don't take care of it for whatever XYZ reason, but
All
we
true.
say there is a need, someone should take care of this. And people, there are people who doing day-to-day job, probably they don't understand the business or startup, and they're like, I cannot do it, at least you're doing it. We are glad. Or we knew this problem is there, but nobody's doing it. At least you're doing it, someone else will also do it. A lot of people start doing it, so this will not become a problem eventually. So that kind of feedback or comments motivate me. And then you feel that you're doing something which not a general public is doing. So that I always kind of
Interesting.
inclined towards doing unique things. And I find it as a unique, whatever I'm doing, it's unique. So that's another driving factor. But
So you
the
feel
main thing yeah, the main thing is helping farmers. That's the bottom. Yeah.
that's brilliant. You know, let me just note this down. Yeah, helping farmers. See, that speaks volumes, of a social entrepreneur when you summed it up. You've summed up the concept of social entrepreneurship from these two, words, I would say. Helping farmers. That's it. And I think that's enough motivation for you to kind of continue doing as to what exactly you're doing and stuff like that. I'm sure, see, a lot of challenges would have also come your way. It's not that every day when you get in the morning, every day is a rosy day, right? You face a lot of
Yeah.
challenges, but that's the exciting part of entrepreneurship, I understand.
Correct.
So, tell me something. So, what has been have you failed as an entrepreneur? And if so, what are the key lessons that have actually learned, from your failures?
Yeah. So when we started, right, that was the time where startups like Big Baskets were getting funded, right? And they were like
Right.
B2C startups. So
Yes.
we were part of Indian Angel Network, and they assigned us a mentor. And then mentor said that don't waste your time doing B2B2C. That was initially in my mind, that let's empower local businesses and through them sell it to the consumer. So B2B2C. Mentor was like, let's do B2C. It's hot right now, you know. And let's not try to do everywhere. Start where you live, from that neighborhood. And I did that for
True.
6 months. Then we realized that it is time consuming and money consuming thing at that point. And then we quickly started focusing on B2B. But
Okay.
we spent some money to create a website, and then some of the assumptions were wrong. For example, I think I used Shopify, and then Shopify were marketing like we have a logistics partners who will take
Would
care of
have
the
just,
delivery.
yeah, Shopee would have, apparently that was the year when Shopee would have probably just started their operations.
But see, when we started with farmer, it was mainly fruits and vegetables. And when I was building the website, I came to know that these logistics companies do not do perishables. so, so so again, I was already in middle of something and I didn't want to back out. So we ended up doing our own logistics. And so anyway, so for 6 months we tried. Then we were like, it's not going to grow anywhere, or it will take a lot of money. So we quickly started focusing on, and then we started getting demand from B2B. Then we started seeing that B2B is more profitable and less time consuming, where we can focus. And then there is a demand. So, and then farmers were also saying that we produce in quintals and you're selling in kilos. The balance has to be matched. Because I was doing POC with the neighborhood, right? B2C. So it didn't work. And then as we started doing B2B, farmer loved it because it was getting picked up at the bulk level. So
Right.
then we started focusing on B2B only, But that was the learning, that even if my gut feeling was no, let's not do this, but just because you were trusting a mentor or a incubation and center, so you were like, okay, we are new in this. I never did a startup before, so maybe these people are right, and you did it. But again, it was not a right decision. Yeah.
So tell me something, Ashish. This concept of social impact. Okay, this is gaining a lot of momentum, as we discussed, in the beginning of this podcast. This definitely is gaining a lot of momentum. Of course, we discussed the challenges also and stuff like that. But if an entrepreneur, if somebody is wanting to become an entrepreneur, would you recommend him or her to become, a social entrepreneur?
It has to start with them, because like I told you, if they don't love or they don't want to do what is required. So for example, let's say you're trying to educate children from the bottom of the pyramid community. It could be a slum nearby, or it could be a remote village. But if you're not enjoying that thing you're doing, like whether educating or upscaling, if you're not enjoying that, I think
Process.
not you should not get into that just because there is a demand. Just because there is some demand related to something and you see this as an opportunity, don't do it. Even if it is, like, let's say there is a lot of buzzword now about social impact, right? I'm sure there will be some funding, then there is an excitement. So people would think that, okay, if I do social startup, then maybe I will get funded. It has to have some kind of an impact. Then which other community I can impact, and let's start with that. It won't work. It of course it will work, and if you like that particular job or that particular thing which is solving their problem, if you like that process, then like I told you, every day you don't have to get up. Your motivation will say, get up and start doing this day to day.
Get up and start doing it.
Yeah, for year and year. So uh, it start with them. Some people may not like working with farmers, but they may not. They may like working with kids, for example. Um, some people
So any
may.
kind of social impact. I'm saying not only with respect to farmers specifically,
Yeah, yeah.
any
It
kind
could
of
be
social impact if a person wants to start.
like, it could be construction related, medical related, poor people, farmers, or unprivileged children, women,
True.
villagers, anything. Even people, rich people, but having some kind of a physical challenge, for example. Now they are not bottom of the pyramid, but if you're doing something to solve their problem, it's still an impact to that community, right? So
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, I mean, so it doesn't have to be bottom of the pyramid. As long as there is some impact, you're still basically doing a social startup.
Fabulous, very nice. So, what I can gather from what you're saying is, yes, you definitely can. End of the day, it starts with them. With the particular individual, and what kind of impact or what kind of problem he or she is going to solve. End of the day, but at the same time, let social entrepreneurship not be taken for granted. Number one, and it should not be perceived that it's a very easy way to do things and get your way out in terms of funding and things like that, right?
Well, I mean, it's still not glamorous in terms of funding. So maybe it will get glamorous eventually. Once you start hearing
Yes,
news and
that's
there is
that's precisely what I'm trying to say. Very true.
FOMO. But yeah, I mean, that time will come, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to do it, and they think it is easy. Yeah, but it is not. Yeah.
Fabulous, fabulous. I think that brings us to almost the end of our podcast, because I think we've really covered the entire journey of you as an individual, and how you embraced social entrepreneurship. What were the triggers for you to kind of embrace social entrepreneurship? And then we also got deeper into the aspect of Kheti-Badi and what it takes to solve a farmer's problem. And hats off to you, Ashish. Honestly, there are it's actually been a pleasure, kind of you and insights. And what I particularly liked about is the fact that you are still motivated on a daily basis to continue with your mission. And end of the day, you definitely see a ray of hope, uh, coming your way. That's number one. Number two, I also love the fact that you have gotten truly into the shoes of the farmer and try to understand their problems, and which is why today you stand, or Kheti-Badi stands at what it is today. So thank you so much for being a part of this session. And for the people who are listening, for this to this podcast, I would recommend them. The details are given below. I would recommend them to kind of get in touch with Ashish, and I'm sure he would be able to guide you in terms of your journey, not only in terms of entrepreneurship, but more focused towards social entrepreneurship. So it was
Sure.
actually a pleasure talking to you, Ashish, and I wish you all the very best in your journey
Thank you.
going forward.
Thank you for having me. Yes.